Hey guys, Jamie here from Dr. Trish Leigh and Company. Dr. Leigh is working on her video to pop on. So,
Hey, can you hear me?
oh, I can hear you. I don't. Can you hear
Okay.
us or
I can
me?
hear you, yeah, but I don't know why my camera is. This is my day right now. So at least uh, it has been one of those days. So at least I can answer people's questions, and I'm here by audio. I was trying to figure out how to change my avatar so I'm not a blinking box there. Thank you, James, for Steven, what's happening? I got a new camera and I was just running defense with my son Declan, who it shows that shows my camera should be working. But anyways, hi Steve, what's happening? Uh, okay, so we are here. Today's the first of an 8-week series. Let's hope all rest of the 7 weeks goes better, right, James?
Yep. Yep.
But we are here to present an 8-week series moving up to the middle of March. And we wanted to talk about, it's called Libido Lift. And the reason that I entitled this show, which will be much more successful next week, Libido Lift, because there's a lot of confusion between what libido and hypersexuality is. So that's what we want to clear up. And then we want to help you to be able to get your libido back in check and then be able to have a healthy libido. So that's the goal of this program that will be coming for 8 weeks. We are probably going to just abandon ship here today because the technology is not working in my favor, but we'll promote it for next week. And thank you for everybody who's waited to jump on. I appreciate that because I know that can be challenging. But for next week, this is what I want you to think about is what is libido? Come with your questions on, hi, unknown warrior, how are you? Come with your questions on, healthy sexuality opposed to hypersexuality, which leads you away from a connected relationship. That is what we're going for here. Healthy sexuality. And we have a new program that's coming that's called Pleasure Pathways Reset. That is a big theme for us right now, helping you to reset your pleasure pathways back into the real world. The idea is, when you're caught up in explicit matter or even excessive screen time, your brain wants excessive dopamine from unhealthy sources. We want to encourage you to get back on purpose to need lower levels of dopamine from healthy sources. James, do you have any thoughts to add to that so that you're not staring at people while my head booms like a speaker over there?
No, I think that's good. I had somebody reach out this morning, and it was a question about having his phone, and the first thing he did in the morning was pick it up and went to screen time. And he was like, do you know why that is? And, the simplest answer I could say was dopamine, my friend. Your brain has gotten so used to having that dopamine first thing in the morning that it doesn't know how to kind of get into the day without it. And I think understanding that dopamine is that driving force. But I'm excited for the libido lift and just understanding the pleasure pathways reset, and really helping people to understand really what this does to the brain. So we're really excited about that, and I can't wait till we launch it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's imperative. Maybe I can log in on my phone too. I'm trying to enter the studio and mute myself. I don't know if that's going to work, but yeah, people, I read online last night, I was kind of popping around to see what other people are talking about, which is not a thing that I do. Hey, Gerson, what's happening, my friend? And yeah, technology is the best thing that's happened to us, Dennis. But at the same time, with great power comes great responsibility. And people have to learn to use technology in a way that benefits them and not using it to, for just ultimate seemingly for pleasure. It becomes you're chained to it. That's the reality. And last night I was popping around online, and when I was popping around, there's a lot of other professionals out there making big accusations that we're going to have a generation of men and women, but more specifically men, that can't think, can't produce, can't work, can't have relationships, can't perform or have sexual experiences. Like, screen time, and especially explicit matter, has big ramifications. This is big, not small. So, that's why we're here. We start watching porn when you're 14 years old. That's, the seeds of addiction are planted big time. And then you end up chasing down dopamine for the rest of your life. And it's easier now than ever, is the most terrible part of it. I don't travel that often, but I've traveled a couple times lately. And you know what has happened? The person in front of me clicks open their computer and up comes a pornographic image. Don't you think that's wild? That has happened to me 2 times in a row now. And the person is a man, but it's mostly men, and then quickly clicks out. But it's just like, now sexualization has been digitized like never before. And it's really very, very dangerous. So what we're going to focus on here in this show for the next 8 weeks is we're going to focus on, that is all hypersexuality, not libido. People tell me all the time that, their libido's impacted. In today's day and age, people don't even know what their libido is. And when it comes to porn, that's not libido, that's hypersexuality. Yo, fitness spreader, how are you? Okay, so stay tuned till next week when I will be here in my all my glory. I don't know what that means, but so what we will be doing also is taking questions. So come with lots of questions, okay? And we will definitely Gerson, you know what my thoughts are on if I was going to leave Gerson and now I'm not, even though I'm a blinking speaker. Please, if you don't mind my blinking speaker, I'm here and I planned on staying till 1. So if you have questions, please fire away. We can stay here till 1 o'clock. This is what I can tell you, is that when people make comments about masturbation and edging being a safe technique, they are not keeping in mind that we are talking about a generation of people with hypersexuality, compulsive masturbation. And I know all of you out there that have compulsive masturbation, for a long time, it takes a long time to admit to yourself it is a compulsion. So when they're saying it's safe, that is not true. And I know you know it. When I'm talking to you, I know you know that if you have a compulsion, it is controlling you. You are not controlling it. That is the difference. And a person who didn't have the seeds of compulsive masturbation planted when they were 14 years old, like Nowhere H says, then maybe they can masturbate and it's healthy for them. Edging's never healthy for you. Like, there's literally no way edging could ever be healthy. And just to frame edging for everybody, is that edging is when you keep going back to a thing without reaching orgasm. So you keep flooding your brain with dopamine. What happens is that dopamine is flooding your brain and it's desensitizing the dopamine receptors in your brain, which ultimately means that your brain is desensitized and now you can't feel pleasure with a real world partner. So compulsive masturbation and edging specifically leads to erectile dysfunction and sexual arousal dysfunction. It's not a safe technique. Yeah, go ahead, jump in.
Really quick, a couple of my consultations recently have been with 19-year-olds, very young, under 20, full-blown ED. And, to think about the extent of what technology is doing to the brain, it just makes me really sad that, it's that young that this is affecting, kids. It's not, 40-year-old, 50, 60. It's, they're getting younger and younger. And so that was something I just wanted to kind of mention.
Children, absolutely. Yeah. And, a lot of people here can relate to that, where it is definitely, we are at a precipice in history where, the average age, what we know, my book is coming out on March 18th. Here we go. I think I figured out how to put a new avatar. There we go. That makes me feel better. Okay, so what science shows is that 85% of people between the ages of 12 and 87 use porn. I mean, that's 12 years old. And we know average age of exposure is down to 10 years old. So like nobody's kidding themselves. You know, at the beginning, it will make you feel better. But as you keep using porn, it will make you feel worse. There's no doubt about that. So let's see what we got here. Okay, let's go up to Greg. You asked me, okay, let's see. Yeah, healthy sex show. Thank you. So here's the question. Let's see. Oh, that's not a question, but thank you. I appreciate that. I thought you had a question in there for me, Greg. Maybe it's down below. Well, that's what we're back here trying to do, is to speak to healthy sexuality instead of hypersexuality. Let's see. Lusty Libra, I see. Oh, Jamie, got a question here for us?
Yeah. 14 days.
Okay. Yeah. So I was talking to a client of mine today, which I think we had a really good conversation. So it is a good idea. Like if you meet a girl, if you can, and this is in capital CAN, if you can establish a connected relationship that involves what's called the happiness trifecta, that's dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, then yes, I would love for you to move forward and be able to find connection with that girl. And so what I was talking about with the client is that girls are approaching him. And he's like, you know, he's been on the NoFap journey for months now. So he's like, you know, I do not want to mess this thing up. Is it okay if I start to, you know, check out some of these girls? And you know how I use the, not that I want to objectify people at all, but when you are kind of playing the field, you are objectifying people. So I said, if you look at women like they're pieces of cake, like that's, if you're in hookup culture, casual sex, anything like that, that's what's going on. Chocolate cake. You're like, yeah, let me have some chocolate cake. Let me have some chocolate cake. But if you're discerning for someone to have an ongoing relationship, which I asked this person, what's your goal 5 years from now? What do you want your life to look like? He's like, I want a relationship. I'm like, then you have to approach the girl that you meet as someone that you would potentially have a relationship with. So yeah, it's great, but it's healthy sexuality. So going back to what healthy libido is that you feel attracted to that person. You feel like you want to spend time with them, not just have sex with them and never see them again. Those are two different things. So go old school is the way that I say it. Ask her out on a date. You know, you don't just, if you call someone and they want to come over and have sex with you, that's an emotionally unhealthy person. It's not good for you. It's not good for them. You go old school. Let's see.
Hang into that.
Oh, sorry. I just hijacked yours. Sorry. Let me just talk to Delta Phos-B and then Jane can put up hers and read it. That's what no eye contact does for you, right, Jane? So Speaking about Delta Phos-B, it's a transcription factor in the brain. It's a protein. So basically, I speak about it as concrete over the neural pathways in your brain, especially when addiction or compulsion comes into play. So what happens is if you keep going back to explicit matter or sexual media, you know, hooking up with people, that transcription factor starts to lay the cement on those neural pathways. What we know is this is what puts people at risk for going back to that behavior, even if they stay away from it. So the goal is to create new neural pathways in the healthy direction, but never go back over those old neural pathways because they do have concrete on them. Okay, James. Fire it up. You're in charge of the comments. Let's do it.
So the other one was about how does testosterone interplay into all this? I know it correlates with dopamine.
Yeah, it does. So if you look on this channel, I have recently, maybe like 3 months ago, I made videos on testosterone and how it's impacted. So you can search on the channel for testosterone. And going back to like some of those thoughts on, you know, isn't it good for your dopamine levels? And isn't porn use or a lot of sex? So, you know, what we know from those studies is that your testosterone can become depleted. So the more you flood your system with dopamine, testosterone production actually starts in the brain. It starts up in an axis in the brain, which then triggers production down in the sex organ. But it starts in the brain. People forget that. So when you change the way that your brain is using neurotransmitters, it changes the way your brain is using hormones, which changes production and use. Long story short, excessive pornography or masturbation has been shown to deplete testosterone. So it's not, a healthy thing to boost your testosterone. And testosterone goes back to healthy libido. Hypersexuality and healthy libido are the opposite of each other, because in hypersexuality, you're looking for the most dopamine possible, instant gratification, easy button, flood your system, feel good fast. Going back to libido and healthy sexuality, it's building arousal over a longer amount of time, and it hits lower. The happiness trifecta hits lower than massive amounts of dopamine.
And there was also the same person put this in about pheromones. I'm trying to go back and find it, but I'm not able to find it.
Oh, sorry. That's my bad.
His pheromones have increased. I'm not sure exactly what that was referring to.
Look, pheromones, basically, that's like, I would rather us think about your energy, the vibe of your energy that comes off of you. Pheromones are, you're putting off sexual smells, basically. But and Jamie can find the question, but what I want to talk about is that you have an electric energy field around you. We all forget this. You might remember, like, if you've met a person and instantaneously you felt more relaxed, or you wanted to talk with them, or when you left them, you felt better. And even if they didn't say anything, or you may have walked up to a person, they didn't even say anything, and you feel anxious and irritated because you can feel the negative energy coming off of them. So this affects how attractive you are to potential mates. And if you're looking for a partner, I want to point out that is called pair bonding. And we as humans are looking for pair bonding. We want to find someone that, we can have sex with for across our lifetime, or for across a time, whatever that might be. But also it goes deeper. They are our partner, where we have a tribe. It's important for survival, but also that's thrival. You have fun. If you ever come over to Casa de Lee, it's literal chaos here. You should have seen my husband during the Bills game. I'm like, dude, you can't even name like 4 players jumping up and down. Yes, they won. It was a great game. Any Bills fans here, give it up. But it's the energy here is a wonderful thing. And that's because we're all vibing high. So we're looking for a tribe. That's the point about pair bonding. You want to vibe high, because guess what science shows is that attractive partners attract an attractive partner. So you want a top tier partner, guess what? You have to be a top tier partner. You have to start working on your energy. Forget the pheromones. Work on, you walk into a room, people look over at you and they're like, wow, what does that person have going on? They're exuding positive energy. Those are the people. And the client I was talking to, he got a promotion at work, and this promotion is making him vibe higher. And now women are giving him their phone number. Vibing high, literal electrical energy. That's what we're talking about. What do you got here, James? Oh, I see it. Pheromones don't correlate with vibrations, but pheromones, you're right about that. But I mean, thinking about your pheromones is a total hypersexual thought. Most people aren't worried about how many, what their pheromones that they're giving off. That is a hypersexual thought. Libido, people are thinking about, okay, how can I become attractive? And, oh, you're so funny. With the Ravens fans had a sharp dip in testosterone yesterday. Probably lusty Libra, probably. Let's think about improving our energy so that, we know, like, forgetting the pheromones, we know that when we improve the electrical energy in our nervous systems and in our brains, that actually contributes to the energy field across the world. And the world is in such a place right now. We've got fires in California. We've got cold snaps and freezing cold water. or, whether there's a lot of hurt in the world right now, violence, anger, natural disasters. If we want to contribute to raising the energy field, what we've got to do is raise that within ourselves.
And so, side note, to do that, brain training is something that all of you can do. When you do 3 minutes of brain training, it starts to change your electromagnetic field, and it starts to change your electromagnetic field, and the what is it? The blood circulation of your blood chemistry, right, Dr. Leigh?
Yeah.
But at 10 minutes, it starts to change your nervous system, which is that flight, fight, or freeze, and your granular system. And if you get to 23 minutes, 23, it starts to balance your 3 minds, the positive, negative, and the neutral, and they all start to work together. So if y'all are not brain training, I would suggest doing so.
Yeah,
I put
definitely.
up another comment for you, Dr. Leigh.
Okay, let's do 1 or 2 more, and then we're going to try to stick to our time frames, but we were late, so we will stay on. Let's see. Yeah, and this is basically what I've talked about, but let's talk about more. Let's pivot into the question. We'll get away from energy because we already kind of talked about that. Let's talk about what dopamine does. So when you consume porn, I already told you, it increases your dopamine levels. What that does is it increases the alpha energy, and it's the medium speed in your brain. It's neutral speed. So what that does is it decreases your motivation, and there's a ton of science that shows that it decreases self-esteem. So again, my book's coming out on March 18th. It's called Mind Over Explicit Matter. In there, I give a long list of scientifically proven side effects of porn use. Low self-esteem, low body image, lower satisfaction with your partner, and thinking that your partner's body is worse. Even people think their own genitalia and sex organs are worse. And this is what it does. So your self-esteem can tank because of that. Thank you for putting the book up, James. I appreciate that. So yeah, definitely self-esteem. And, we've seen it where people are like, I feel depressed. I feel unmotivated. We look at their brain maps. Their brain map shows that they're stuck in artificial neutral from all of the dopamine. Absolutely. Jane, we got another question here.
Yeah. I've seen this twice, I think, but does porn and OCD, intrusive thoughts, worse?
Yeah, it definitely does. So OCD comes from the very fast speed in your brain. That fast speed basically will give you an obsessive thought, and you'll have to move towards a compulsive behavior until that thought goes away or feels better to you. And this is part of what I call strained brain. So going back to the pattern that's flooded with dopamine, that pattern is called drained brain. This pattern is strained brain. Typically, strained brain dips into drained brain with worsened and extensive porn use. Strained brain is too fast and too slow. It's a wired and tired brain pattern. It's one that swings back and forth like a pendulum. So many people will get OCD. People will have health OCD because they start to feel worse and they don't attribute it to their porn use. But we've already said porn can cause anxiety, depression, anger, irritability, lack of focus, physical health issues. Yeah, definitely. Lusty Lieber, that book's called Dopamine Nation. It is a really good one. And I love that book. I had Anna Lempke on my podcast a long time ago. And that book, she actually chose a person who had a masturbation addiction as the through line. So I particularly appreciated it to highlight, how compulsive masturbation can be.
So is there any possibility, any shape or form that sexual fantasy can ever be healthy, even those who are not addicted to porn? Porn addicts?
Yeah, sexual fantasy can be healthy. And again, we're going to look at this whole thing through the filter of libido versus hypersexuality. That's the goal here. So through that filter, sexual fantasy is healthy as foreplay, like fantasizing or thinking about the person that you're going to be with soon. That can build arousal as you're moving towards a sexual experience. But if you're supposed to be working and your brain starts to go towards sexual fantasy, that's not healthy. That's a call for dopamine. If the minute you have a sexual thought in the middle of your workday, it's because your brain has been accustomed or trained to go to sexuality to get dopamine. And likely you have an increase in stress or you need a break. Your brain's either it's wired or tired, and that's why it wants dopamine. It needs a break to take that wired down or tired down, or, it's used as mood regulation. That's what's going on.
And can you talk about semen retention is a huge topic for a lot of people. I've seen a couple of comments about this.
Yeah. So semen retention, like, honestly, I don't believe in long-term semen retention because, again, I'm shooting for what's healthy for people in a sustainable fashion. So if you're transitioning from hypersexual to healthy sexuality, then semen retention can be very important. And yeah, what it'll do is it'll change your brain from dysregulated, dysfunctional to highly functional and highly regulated, moving you towards flow state. And when you are in flow state, then you give off that aura. But that is the power of semen retention for a time. But we know that human beings were made to be sexual beings and to have, pair bonding, like I've already talked about. So very long term, that is dipping into the other side of trying to hang on to that energy. Energy dies if it doesn't flow. And I would encourage you to think of flow state. There's a whole bunch of science on Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. He's kind of the father of flow state. And, professional athletes, they're in flow state, musicians, flow state. Like when energy gets dammed up or when it gets jammed up like a river, if it doesn't flow, things stagnate and die. So for a time, it's healthy, but long-term, you want to establish healthy sexuality.
Can your mind get confused between real libido and hypersexuality?
Absolutely. And most people's is. And I saw a comment up there, something about Instagram, like in an Instagram sexual media day and age, like that's where we're at, the digital age, is that I would contend that most people just have no clue what real libido is anymore because people are in such a hypersexual state. If you go onto your screen to look at sexually provocative images to get a dopamine hit, there's no way you can ever really have the sense of like feeling sexuality come on in a very natural way as you're approaching a sexual experience with a person. Like they are on a continuum from kind of 0 to 10. And of course it gets blurred in the middle. So that can, it can have a shades of gray or a gray area, but the more hypersexual you are, the less you know about real libido. And to me, in the program that I offer a program called Porn Free Brain Forever. In that program, it really is a transition. It's a journey from ego. Ego wants hypersexuality. Ego's the mechanism, the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde masks that you learn to put on. Ego is what wants hypersexuality for dopamine. The journey of recovery is going from ego, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, to your real self, your true self, the you were meant to be. When you approach that version of yourself, then, we hear it from clients all the time. And I don't know if Jamie has a story, but, I hear it from clients like, I had no clue that my sex life could be like this. That's why I always say your sex life will be better in ways you have no idea when you leave porn behind.
You're exactly right. And I work with a lot of the women. So, it's also just hearing the both sides of that is fascinating. And the more, open and vulnerable you can be is an amazing journey. But someone who has been struggling with porn addiction for a while, it can be very difficult to be vulnerable and to, open up and to, and this goes for both, but that's one of the things that I hear a lot.
Yep. All right. Well,
we wrap up.
We do. We've got to wrap up because we've got our day to get back to. But jazz up your life. You know it, Gregory. It really is about not needing as much dopamine as you're used to getting from sexual media and explicit matter and getting back to real world pleasure. Thanks, Benjamin. Thanks for dealing with my my technical difficulties. I've had technical difficulties for 2 days straight. I don't know about y'all, but it is like the most stressful thing in my world. So I am going to make a promise that no matter what, my camera will work. I tried to swap out my camera and everything, and that didn't work, but thank you. Okay, well, thanks for joining me, Gerson. Love it. Nowhere H, Fitness, Spreader. We'll see you all next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll see you here, okay? Thanks for being patient, and we'll see you then. Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Have a good day.